Okay, everyone, it's a moment. Good morning. Sunday, 10:06, and this is the second session for the drawing, sketching, basic drawing, sketching, and watercolor class. So let's get started. We have a 1 hour. Try to get to the second class. So I want to make sure everything is working fine. I had some problem today, some technical difficulties, so I don't know. Still working on it. Let's see. Okay, so I think it's working now. So let's go start the class. Actually, this is the. Let me just. So this was the last class. I explained few things about the light and the proportions and the texture. So as long as you aware of it, of these basic principle of sketching and drawing, then you can apply the same information to the other disciplines also. Let's say if you want to do the watercolor would be more or less same thing. You need that information towards those disciplines: oil, pastel, acrylic. Whatever you do, is that information must required before you go to perform the other. You know, you do watercolor painting or acrylic painting. Anyway, let's get move on. So today's class, I'm gonna explain. I'll recap it from the old class that what we did in the last class. So I showed in a class about the light, how the light works on different objects, and how the shading works, and what's the highlight is, what's the shape like a circle, and then how it becomes in the art form. So these are the basic discussion from the last class, and some how to do shading and what to use, how to control the light, and yeah. Let's move on, and I will explain a few more things in today's class. So here, let's go to the next page, and okay, so I will explain today is again. I would just suggest you, if you are new or very beginners, because this class is it's for the beginners. So anyway, let's, if you, I would suggest that do the circles, because the circle is the most important thing in drawing and sketching skill. If you want to develop, you want to go further, you have to draw circles and smaller shapes like square or rectangle, cone, maybe I would say triangle. If you circle the bottoms, let's say if I put a triangle and put a circle here, semicircle, it becomes a cone. So that's how these shapes develop to the advanced, I mean, like which we see every day in life, The, yeah, so you have to understand how to create these and practice and develop your muscle memory and refine your skill. Then I explained in the previous class, like once you have that, then you work on the light. The light is the most important. First, the shape, right? How you draw different shapes. I will let me add something else here since we're talking about the shape. Draw straight lines. Draw straight lines as much as you can. Let's say one, two, three, four, five, as much as you can. That will give you a very good practice how to control the pencil on the paper. How much pressure do you need, how soft you want to get the line. If you want a darker line, just go put more pressure on the paper and you get darker, which I explained the value chart. So you can go darker, you can go maybe like few times back and forth, make it darker, then you make it more darker, go for a few more times. Oops. So that's how, this is another way to, you know, you have to build your skill, how to control the pencil, how much pressure do you need, how dark you need. If I put too much pressure on the paper, look, see, let me just go a little bit closer so you guys can see what I'm doing actually, right there. So if you put a darker, put more pressure on the paper, it'll get darker. Then you lift the pressure, you go lighter, then lift the pressure lighter, lighter, lighter. Here. You have to practice these things. Like now I put a lighter, I go a little bit darker, I'm putting more pressure on the paper, more pressure, and look at this. So it's called gradient, or you can tell value chart. Some people, it's a value chart also. Dark value, dark, light, 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 and very light. So they numbered actually from 9 to 1 or something. So don't get confused with this. So just remember, more pressure you put, you create a dark value. Then you lift the pressure, you create the lighter value. Then you lift the pressure, you lighter, 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 and it gets lighter, and eventually it dissipates because it will vanish because you're not drawing or something with very less pressure, which the lightest value you can see. So this is another thing I would just extend from here. You have to understand, which I explained in the previous class. You can go and watch that video from the previous class so you will know what I'm talking about here. Now, once you've done this, you draw a circle, you squares, the triangle, the rectangle, the cone. If you want more, uh, variety of shapes, you can do whatever you want. You can draw maybe like organic shapes, like a, a leaf, or you can draw anything organic, maybe a tree, just draw a tree. So these are geometrical shape, and this is the organic shape. Whichever you prefer. If you want to go, you think okay, you like the organic shapes, you can draw organic shapes, or you can draw the geometric shape. It's all up to you. The idea is how to build your skill with the pencil and the paper. How easy, you want to make sure that you be easy with the with your drawing. When you're drawing something, you're not scared. Some people are go very slowly, like they, because they're scared, they're not comfortable with what they're drawing, and they end up something like this, like put one here, then that's how they, because they're scared, they're not comfortable what they're doing. So if you are comfortable, then you will do quickly like that. And once you become comfortable, right, then you see how you will enjoy, like you draw, how much pressure you need, how to draw a straight line, horizontal and vertical. So once you have that skill developed and you comfortable with that, you see you can apply the same knowledge, same skill toward the other disciplines also, which I told you earlier in the class. So now let's go to the second, which is the another important aspect of the drawing and sketching skill. So let's go zoom out. Just okay here. Second is a light. So once you have this here, you okay with drawing a boxes or circles or other shape, you go and start doing the shading. And let's say if the light is coming from here on this circle I just draw, right, you go put some shading, keep that highlight part is open because of the shape of that circle. It's kind of like a ball, ball or a sphere. So then the once the light is exposed to the light, it create a little bit highlight here because of the is because of its shape, and it creates some shade. I mean, like shadow also. So that's how it works. Like, let me just you know what? I'll go zoom in here. So let's go this way. I'm just sitting in angle. So here, let me draw again. Okay, I'm assuming the light is coming from here. If you want to draw along with me, you can draw like what I'm doing, right? Like that. So it will, you're not gonna waste your time just watching me. Just draw as I am drawing, and and compare and see how you feel. Like draw a circle quickly while you're watching me. Just watch me what I'm doing, and then do the same thing quickly. You don't need to be very precise. You have to understand how the light works, how you develop your skill to draw a I mean, like a circle, and then when you project the light on the circle, what it will become like after you expose the circle to the light. So last class I explained, I'm gonna quickly over recap it. So light, when the light coming from here, it will go not only on the circle. Actually, it will go beyond the circle and spill on the surface where it's sitting, right? So once the light come here, it bounce back. It bounce back, and first the primary light is exposed from here, right? And I would call it, this is the secondary light. When you hit the surface here, and it goes back to this sphere. And this will create a little drama here, as you can see that this is dark here, right? And here, as you can see, I left some kind of a not too dark. I mean, I can do something like I could go make a circle, right? Light coming from here can bring the highlight here, and I can make it darker here, which is not the case because where it's sitting, the light is coming Let me go zoom in so you guys know what I am doing right here. So this part is not going to be a totally dark. It will be a little bit lighter, as you can see here in this drawing here. It just a little bit light because of the reflection of the light from the surface. The light bounces back and it goes not only from here, it goes from here, but weaker, very weak light, not intense as this one because this is just straight coming from the bulb or whatever, and it goes to the sphere. And then it will go bounce back and it goes back to the sphere again from this side, and there you go. That's a little bit light here. That's why it shows it's a light edge here. You maybe sometimes people they don't even care, like they just move on and they don't want to understand why is there. So ask yourself question, observe certain things in a different environment, like if the light is coming from here, what would be the outcome, like what would happen with this shape or the uh, the circle, whatever is sitting there. So you have to observe how the light works. Okay, so now this is I hope you understand what I'm trying to explain here. So if you have any question, put in the chat box, okay, and I will try see if I can answer those questions for you. And maybe I can answer later on. You can put it later. It's not necessarily you have to put it right now. Okay, so we have. So we covered this, and now let's go move on to the other subject which I want to explain in a class today. So we're done with the light, the shape, the light, and it becomes the art form. That's we just discussed. So let's go further. Okay, now the other important the part I want to discuss is the which I explained is the proportions. How you control the proportions in a drawing or a sketch or anything you do. So let's say I have a canvas, right? I always do that. Actually, I would encourage you to do the same thing. I just go always I erect a little small thumbnail on my paper. Otherwise, what happens if I show you the blank paper, you would get confused where to start. You have to create your boundaries like that. So once you have your boundaries, then it's easy for you to place certain things. Like maybe you have something in your mind. You said, I want to draw an apple here, and few more things along with the apple. So if you erect this boundary, then you would know you don't want to go beyond this boundary like that, right? So you will be restricted yourself within these boundaries. So let's say if I want to draw an apple, maybe I can go here. I can put an apple here. Maybe I can put an apple here, there. You have to draw circles and see where where you the where you it looks the best. Like it looks in the center is good, the side is good, or maybe in the front is good. Whatever you like. Let me just erase this. And then you decide like where you want to draw an apple here, right? Let's say I want to put the apple here. So we're talking about the proportions right now. And soon as I'm done with this proportion, let's say proportion, which is I would call the size. and how you scale it. The scaling is what I call it. Proportions, very common word, size and scaling. So once you have this circle drawn here, now I would put maybe a pear here. I'll just put a pear along with the apple. So the pear has to be so big. If I put pear, it's so big, and just along with the same plane with the apple, it's not gonna look very good. So the pear has to be directly proportional to this apple. It's not gonna be too small, or unless if it is sitting too far, which is the perspective I'm going to explain later in the classes. Let's say if the pear is sitting here, which is very far from the apple, then it's okay. It looks smaller, and then which is fine. But we are not discussing this, so don't be confused, please. So I would just keep the pear at the same plane where the apple is. So in other words, it's just sitting beside the apple, the pear. So I would put another circle, give it the shape of the pear a little bit like that. The, the dent on that pear, and then I will put a stem here, and then I will start working on the apple. So once you have this knowledge and you know, okay, this how you control the size, the proportion. Like apple sitting here, right? And the pear sitting here. So they are more or less same size, right? Like maybe pear is smaller than apple, but it's okay just to understand what I'm trying to explain to you. Now, once you have this sketch done, so if you want to push yourself more, then you'd say, okay, you know what, it looks good. Actually, I like it. And you can clean the boundaries of this apple by erasing this extra draft you did. So I did actually. And if you have more lines on your sketch, you can erase it. You can clean it up and make it look a little bit nicer. You don't need to work with the double lines or whatever I created initially. So I have the sketches done now. I will say to myself, okay, where's the light is coming from? I said, okay, light is coming from here. Now this is you decide. You once you have this control from the sketching part, which is how to draw a circle and all that, then you understand the light, the value, you know how to draw lines and everything, how the highlight works on the different shape. So now you're here, right? I said light is coming from here. So what I will do, I will start putting some shading here. And apple is circle also, and its surface is shiny. So it will create some kind of a highlight here. Let's erase this a little bit. So it will create some highlight here like this. And it kind of a little bit cylindrical too. It's not exactly circle, so it has a little shape going like this, like that. So the highlight will be work not exactly the circle. Yes, on the previous uh, the what I explained is a circle. So it the highlight become very circle too. It's kind of round highlight. So since the apple has a little bit cylindrical shape, it will create a little bit longer like that. The highlight. It's not gonna be a straight circle. So it will be a little bit I would say rectangle or not a circle. So then once I have this done apple shape, Now I'll go jump to the pier. Pier has more rigid surface, not shiny as the apple. So what I will do, I will go create some texture or shading, or I would say I would call texture. And since it's very rigid, it's not very shiny. I would put a little bit highlight, not too much highlight, because it's not reflecting lots of light. So there's very less highlight on the appear. You have to be careful when you see a surface is not shiny or glossy, then highlight will be less also on that surface. So it's very hard to see there's a highlight there on the matte surface. So glossy surface you will see right away the light reflect back. Now I would go make a little bit more texture or shading to it here, and I will just cast some shadow also. Let's erect some shadow. Actually, it's coming out here. Let's erase this so we'll have clear understanding what I'm doing here. Let's erase this. So look at this very good example here. Now the shadow is going out of the canvas, which is a mistake. Like it could be a mistake or it's not gonna be a mistake, but it is a mistake because I didn't realize initially that how long the shadow would be. Yes, if I put a light from here, maybe the shadow would be smaller, right? Which I'm gonna explain uh, just now in the same class how why some shadows are smaller, why the shadow gets smaller and why the shadow get longer. So here, I'm assuming the light from here. Let's forget about this one because otherwise it make you more confused. Let's erase this. Now, this shadow, the casting shadow, is going out of the canvas. So my canvas, the boundaries of my canvas should be then up to, let's erase this also, the arrow has to be somewhere here. That's how your canvas is supposed to be. See that that's why the setback, the space between this space, this, the negative space. So I don't just don't worry about the negative space because I don't want to make you confused. But so just remember the surrounding of these two subjects, the apple and the pear, has to be a little bit, you need to be distance from the corner of the canvas, which is the basic, right? But when in your later, painting uh, skills or whatever, you can just don't stick with this rule. You can go and make maybe put an apple here, like its boundaries are kind of cut out, and then you can create whatever you want, how you see things, right? So for the time being, just stick with this. Make sure that your drawing or painting or sketch, keep it within the boundaries of the canvas. So what canvas which I just draw, this is your canvas, and this is the the table, whatever is they're sitting on it. So yeah, here now I'm gonna put another layer. Basically, I'm layering up. I put a light layer, right? Then I put another dark layer, then I put another dark layer. So what I could do here, I can just finish it up in one layer, like make it dark quickly. But just because of the class purpose, I don't want you to get confused. So I'm keep layering it up. I put another layer now, as you can see on the pier. And the dent on the pier, I will keep it a little bit light here because I want to make sure that it looks like a 3D shape. It looks like has more depth in it. So you see the light here, I purposely left because that light is coming from here and somehow it goes, and because this surface is kind of a little bit more coming out and this surface of the pier is less exposed to the light, so it creates a little bit illusion that it has a little bit, you know, dent here, and it shows, although we are working on a, let me, you know what, I will explain the two-dimensional and three-dimensional in next step. Let's work here. Let's just and then I will explain, which is a very important part also for how we are creating a two-dimensional paper, which is one here, one there, two-dimensional on paper, and we're creating a three-dimensional drawing, which is, I would call I would call this is X plane, Y plane, and the third one is a Z plane. So give me one. Let's finish this, and then I will go with this. This is another important. Uh, I like to explain. This is very important. How that 2D shapes become a 3D shape, which is subject. I mean the shape, and then it becomes an art form. So basically, what happened that 2D shape become 3D shape. Just tricking your brain by doing certain things on the paper, it create a 3D shape, which I just did. As you can see, I'm keep running, and now I create some light, reflected light here on the pier, right here on the bottom. There's some reflected light here also, and there's a dark, because it pier has a very distinct shape, right? Like has a circle here, and then it has a little bit uh, coming out shape here too. So let's go. Let's clean it up a little bit more. More shadow. You want to enjoy your drawing. You want to enjoy what you do. Yes, and keep it. And you have to know what, how the light works, how to uh, turn the 2D shape into the 3D shape, create the depth in your painting, and enjoy. Enjoy your drawing, sketching. Don't stress yourself. There you go. So here is almost done. I would just leave it here. Now I would come at the apple. I create the casting shadow first. Actually submerging into the pier because they're sitting, remember I told you they're sitting side by side. So here and now the good thing is I'm not, it's some shadow of the apple will go on the pier also, like that. It will cast that shadow on the pier also because they're sitting so close and their shadow kind of intersecting each other. Okay, now I'm gonna go, I'm gonna create the reflected light. Create more shadow. This part of the apple will be a little bit darker because it's less light is exposed to less light. And this part will be like a pear, you know, like right here. Same thing with the apple also. It will be more less exposed to the light here, more exposed to the light, so it will be a lighter value here, like that. Let's clean it up a little bit more. And there's some shadow of this stem also, so clean it up here a little bit more. Let's put another value, make it more darker. Cross, I would just call cross shadow also. And here, I will keep that, where's the edge of the apple? I keep it dark as possible because there's very less light is going into this part of the our drawing. So where the apple is sitting. So it's very dark as you can see. Soon as I put a dark value here, it becomes the light value becomes very prominent. It shows right away. So soon as you put, let me explain here. If I put a dark value here, which is look darker on the white paper, but soon as I put another dark value here against that dark value, it become lighter. Although it was darker in the first place because it was just sitting alone on the white paper, right? So it looks really dark for us. But soon as you put another dark value, push the pencil harder, and then this become lighter. And look, it looks more darker. I can't put darker value than this, but this is how you see things. If you want to create more contrast in painting, so you put dark here, dark, and then this apple become more prominent, the edge of this apple. As you can see, it's already, I put a reflected light here, so it become more prominent, more contrast. And that's how you create more contrast. More dark value you put, more contrast you start building on your painting. So here, let me erase this, the highlight thing, the box I created, and I will just go nicely, slowly create some more shading to it. So here, that is the drawing. That's how you explain things, proportions, the light, how the shadow works, where the dark value. If you put a dark value against a light value, that light value become more lighter because it's very dark here, and although it was something like this before, but it gets very light now because of the dark value sitting against to the light value. And now, once you have this done, then you can create some texture. You can go put some stipples like that, or maybe create some skin, and you maybe go with the crosshatch, maybe go stipples, maybe line like that, whatever you prefer. I like the crosshatch, random crosshatch I do. So I would just go very quickly, turn my pencil here and there. That's how I create texture on my most of my drawing and sketching like that, like this. And then once you have something, then you can go put some stipples. If you want to get more realistic drawing or sketch, then you put some. Let me just go closer so you know what I'm doing. Otherwise, here. So if I put dots here like that, it creates some texture on the apple. Although I create some texture with the cross edge, but for the more, and then you do the same with the pear. Okay. I hope whoever is there, he understand. If you have any question, please ask me. Like I said, right now in the chat box, or you can do it later on if you have any questions or problem with the today's class. So let's zoom out. And now, since we have this done, right? So what we did, the shapes, the proportion and the light and your restriction for the canvas. So we cover basically that's what all it is actually. If you are good on these things, then the texture, the shadows, how you hold the pencil, it's all secondary. Basically, this is the most important part. Like to understand the light, how the light works on different objects, the proportions, how big this apple, if this sitting beside the pear, it's not going to be too big, it's not going to be too small. The leaf on the apple, if I put a big leaf here, then it looks not good, right? Like it just doesn't look good. So I have to keep that leaf so big that it will be look good with this apple. Otherwise, although I put a little bit bigger also the leaf. Let me make it smaller. Let's erase this. So if you want to put a leaf here, you can just put a small leaf as compared with the apple. So that's how the proportions work. A lot of people get confused. They think, oh, I can control the proportion part. So you have to measure. You have to measure like first you do with the drawing, and then you measure by just looking. Like if you doing a like see I did here, I have no reference. I have no sketch already. I'm not copying or I'm not drawing by looking at. I just visualize it and I put it on. I put one circle here and then I put another circle. Let me draw this again so you guys know what I'm talking about. I would put a canvas, dark canvas, so you can see, make a plane where they're sitting, and then I will put a circle here, circle here. That's what it is basically. This is the basic start for what I did previously here. So you go and then once you have done this, then they create the shape. That's all it is actually. It's so easy, but people they just get confused and it make it so harder for them. So like this here. Once you understand this concept of light, proportions, shading, how the shadow works, then you see it will so easy for you to draw certain things. And even though in the watercolor, in the acrylic, and it's all become easy for you here. Let's clean a little bit. That draft is too harsh. Here is okay. I'm going to erect the shadow, but whatever you think, okay, it's too dark, just clean it up and then you erect the shadow, the casting shadow. One, then the peer. Again, I have to control that restriction. Sorry, the canvas border is going out of the border, so please be careful. See how can you make, easily you can make mistakes, but you can go start another sketch and correct that mistake, which is I'm doing it over and over. Actually, it's a good thing I made a mistake, so here, and that's it. Let's cut it out a little bit, give a little shape to the apple. It's too harsh, that line. And that's it. So this is, as compared with this is more refined type of sketch because I was explaining This is more like a crude sketch. I did it very quickly, and actually, as a matter of fact, this looks much better in my point of view. I don't know how about you guys, but I like this sketch better than this sketch. So once you have control, what I explained here, the shape, then you spill the light on it, and what happened when you spill the light, how to cast the shadow, how you keep your proportions under control, and the restriction of your canvas, how big your subject would be, visualize, and then you will be here basically. Once you have this, not a tight sketch like this, and if you once you have that all that knowledge coming from here, from there, and here you'll be end up here, which is the best way, which is you will be enjoy so much once you start doing this, the very rough type of sketches. Control the light, learn how the light works, how you build the texture, how the shadow work, how do you restrict yourself, how to proportion work. So this type of stuff, and then you move on. You create your own sketches, change the proportion, put the apple in the background. Let's change the composition now. I'm gonna talk about the composition. I didn't talk about the composition because it's not there, we're not there yet. So now we are, a next step would be the composition, how you compose certain things on the canvas. Since I hope you understand this, practice, rectangle, cone, bob, square, circle, then you draw lines, light lines like that. Even though you go, if you feel comfortable you going like that, that's fine too, right? Make it dark, dark, and then you go turn the sketchbook, and then you go here, dark. Then you turn more sketchbook here. Maybe go from here. Not even though instead of going here, just create the lines from here. So practice. Line, circles, square, cones. I mean rectangle, triangle, cylinder. So this type of practice will refine your sketching and drawing skill, which is the fundamental of anything you go further. You go do, like I said, any discipline you work at. This is the main basic knowledge to move you on to the next level. So here now let's talk about the composition. We talk about the light, texture, these proportions, and the sketching, how you draw the lines and everything. Okay, let's talk about composition quickly. How much time we have? We don't have. We only have 5-10 minutes. So let's cover this up, and then we'll discuss something. I will send the. Actually, I'm gonna send the list. I will put in a description for the new next week video that what I'm gonna talk, which is much better, so you guys know what you're expecting in the next class. I forgot to put in the description. So I have my sketch. I mean, like the canvas. Now I will put a line here, table, whatever, and then I would put maybe apple here, one circle here, then I would put a pear just behind this apple. You see that I would just put, so it kind of a little bit away from the apple. So here the pear, if you want to change the direction of the pear, you can change it. It's not a problem. Whatever composition works for you. So here, and then you put something, maybe a saw plate here or something, maybe a spoon sitting here in the front, in the foreground. try to draw whatever shape inspire you or looking you think it refine your skill. So now here this is just a basic composition coming out of my head, and I don't have no picture, nothing. So what you have a composition here. That's how you compose certain things. And then if you think, okay, you know what, it looks good, create some shadows, texture, quickly explain the light is coming from here. He'll be darker. Now, as you can see that the shadow of I purposely put a pier behind this apple. So what happened, it helping this apple to give a push, like it looks more prominent. It's got a nice, it looks like it's in the front of the drawing, it more exposed. That's how you uh, create if this is your focal point, that would be the your this basically the peer is helping this apple to get more contrast to it, and it looks more visible in the drawing. And then I will just go quickly. Actually, we're going to talk about some guiding lines next week. I will explain what the guiding lines are, and we're going to talk about the perspective. Since this is a second class, and most of the stuff I explained to you guys, which is the basic fundamental of the drawing and sketching. And then I will introduce some color theory also in the next class, just to touch it. Just touch it. I will explain how to mix colors, which are the primary colors, which are the secondary color, that type of stuff. We're going to talk about that. And then in maybe third class, we're going to do some watercolor. I always start with the watercolor. It's very portable, easy to work with watercolor, not instead of other mediums. Here, the drawing is, my sketch is almost done. So that's how you compose. And if you don't like it, you think, okay, you know what, it doesn't look good, and it it just not is not very appealing, then you erect another canvas. Let's see, let me turn my sketchbook here. So I have a small piece of space here. Then you erect another canvas. Always, always do this. Always, please, because this will refine your line, drawing a line on a paper skills also. And do it quickly. Do dark. Although you go over and over, which is it's okay with me, right? I'm a slug here. Go dark, so you can see, like, you will be along with these borders. This is kind of haunting you here. Don't You're not gonna go outside, so make it darker. This is only done in the sketches, like a small sketches. When you do a fine drawing, you don't need to erect these because you already have a space or canvas or whatever. And then you do line, and you put maybe put some bananas here. Put some bananas here, maybe apple here, just behind these bananas like that. And now I turn the apple the other way, and this side is more, the bottom part is more exposed than compared with the top. And then I would put a maybe pear here, circle, circle, pear here, maybe a spoon here turning this way. Or maybe put a kettle or jug or whatever, if you want to make it look more busy. put a bottle here. So once you have that done, now you go and you say, okay, where the light is coming now? I said a light is coming from here. Okay. Now as soon as you say light is coming from here, my uh, shadows will be on this side. The shadow casting shadows will be on this side. All these apples, bananas will cast a shadow on the other side. Highlight on the apple will be here. The apple will be darker on this side. The casting shadow, the bananas will be casting shadows also. The pear will be darker here. And the pear will helping this apple and the both bananas and the apple because it's in the background. It's more darker. And spoon casting a little bit shadow because it's not too long or whatever. Just a little bit shadow here. And the bottle has its own distinct shadow because it depends on the shape right here. So it's not the best composition, but it's okay just to understand how it works, how to do lots of composition, and yeah. So more you do, more it get. I got some problem with the camera. Actually, the light is exposed to the light. I don't know if you guys can see clearly. I'm gonna adjust it in the next class because it doesn't look very good. It's too much light coming here. Let me try to adjust right now. We can so we would know. There you go. I think this is much better. Oh my God. Sorry about that. I would just keep going without looking at the monitor. Now it's much better. So anyway, let's recap. So you understand, let's recap it from here. The shape, organic shape, the geometrical shapes. Then you erect some lines, light line, dark line. Or maybe if you go some squiggly line like that, if you if you like that, you can go like that. And then the value chart. Always do certain things dark if you have a free time and go lighter, 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 darker, 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 most dark. So this is HB pencil actually I'm using. As you can see, more you push, more it get darker. So you can get a 2B pencil, you can get 4B, 6B, whatever you like. But I would prefer either 2B or the HB would be fine for you at this stage. And then once you go in advanced level, then you can choose the more darker pencil. But for the learning point of view, the HB and the 2B is more than enough. So here, the shape becomes an art form by just exposing to the light, how the highlight works on different shape. It depends on the shape of the subject, what you're drawing. The highlight is all depends on that and how shiny it is, how matte it is. If it is matte surface, then you won't see too much of a reflected light. But if it's a shiny surface, then you will see a lot of reflection on the surface of that subject. Here, the proportions, right? The light, the texture, and how you restrict yourself within the boundaries of the canvas. That's another yeah, that's all the condenser, whatever I explained. So it's right here. Rough sketch. Once you come out from this part, then if you able to sketch, then this would be your sketches because you know how the light works, how you the proportion work, how that create the texture, shading, what is reflected light, how to create a little bit, like a 3D shape. So this would be your next level drawing. Composition, how you compose if you have certain subjects, apple, pear, bananas, a plate, or a bottle, how you compose, how you put them together to make it look good and help each other to create more contrast, which is important for you, which subject, which, let's say peer is, you think, okay, you want to draw peer and you want to focus more on the peer, bring it in the front foreground, and then whatever you putting beside the peer, it would be helping that peer to make the composition look good and create more contrast. And then again, another example of the composition, I would cut this canvas a little bit here because there's too much space here, so I would just clean it up and keep the canvas up to here. So the space here, the setback space would be more or less not exactly equal, but it looked easy. You give some space to your sketch if it's sitting on certain boundaries. So that's last thing. Okay, so I think it's time is over now. 5 minutes over. We will discuss next class. Let me quickly put the 3D, the 2D, how you make it a 3D, which I did already actually explain here, but in in a more layman's terms, I will explain with the example. I'm going to bring something next week, and then an introduction of little colors. I will introduce some colors also, so we understand how the color works, what's the value of the colors in the color chromatic instead of black and white. Okay, so thank you for joining today. I will see you next week. Uh, Next week, Sunday at 10 a.m. Toronto's time. We'll see you then. You take care. Okay, bye bye.